You know what gaming franchise I've always appreciated? I mean, you can probably tell by the title of this video. Mega Man continues to be a relevant and recognizable video game franchise over the years. However, I feel for some reason the series have never really gained mass appeal. It's kinda weird to think about. You always see Mega Man along with other video game giants such as Mario and Sonic, but most of his games never really sold the best. Mega Man 2, the best-selling title of the series, had only sold about 1.5 million units. There was a time where Capcom would release Mega Man games consistently, but after Mega Man 10, there was a huge drought of releases that lasted over 7 years until the release of Mega Man 11. And today, we haven't even heard anything new ever since. I think part of the reason for this is because of the number of diverse incarnations of the Mega Man series there are. There are many different variations of the Mega Man series, including the Classic, the X, Legends, Zero, and Star Force series. Each of these universes has their own dedicated following that may have divided the fanbase. Of course, there are a good portion that appreciate or are a fan of each of these series as well. I mean, I personally enjoyed all of these, but the iteration that resonated with me the most was, of course, the Mega Man Battle Network series. Unlike other Mega Man series that preceded before, this was actually an RPG instead of a platformer. These were primarily developed for the Game Boy Advance. They made 6 main series games for the system, along with some other spin-offs or side games on the DS and GameCube. It even has an anime adaptation that lasted for quite a while. It's called Rockman EXE in Japan, and it's spanned into more seasons called Axis, Stream, Beast, and Beast Plus, totaling for over 200 episodes between all of these series. The English adaptation was called Mega Man NT Warrior and NT Warrior Axis. They never dubbed the later seasons. This dub was censored in the sense that they edited certain words out, such as the words fire and bomb. As a result, they changed the names of several characters to try and make it more appropriate for younger viewers. I won't go over the entire anime yet, but maybe that will be something that I'll go over sometime in the future. I'd say you should give the sub a watch if you're interested. It still holds up pretty well today. So what's the deal? Why do people rarely talk about this series? The 4th Battle Network game was even the 2nd best-selling Mega Man game in the franchise. That's insane. It's been over 20 years since the first Battle Network game released. I've never really played much Mega Man games growing up. I would say I first played these games since about a decade ago. I've enjoyed my time playing through this series, but honestly I didn't get too invested into the franchise until a few years later when I first tried the first Battle Network game. The world, characters, and gameplay captivated me so much. This is definitely my favorite iteration of Mega Man. He probably has the best design in these games in my opinion. Actually, scratch that. Obviously this one is better. The main problem is that it's getting difficult to play these games today unless you still have a GBA, a DS, or a Wii U to play this on the Virtual Console. I went and got myself a Wii U so I can get some decent footage of this game. That's honestly one of the main reasons why I wanted to own one. That and so I can play this mess. I have no regrets. Come on, Capcom, just release a Battle Network collection already. You know you want to. Anyway, let's find out if the first game of this series still holds up today. This is Mega Man Battle Network. So what is Mega Man Battle Network anyway? Well, this series takes place in a parallel universe from the original Mega Man series. The main difference is how much the internet has been integrated into everything. Kind of like real life, except not as bad. Initially, it was conceptualized as a horror game according to the game's developers. They wanted to make a game that links to your heartbeat with a wearable device. They wanted you to have fun while your heart pounds. Obviously, this didn't pan out, and decided to switch more to a card game and internet theme due to its popularity at the time. They decided to use Mega Man as the basis to make a game that relies on strategy, and thus Mega Man Battle Network was born. In this universe, everyone carries their own device called a personal terminal, or PET. It functions just like a cell phone and is essential to everyday life. However, each PET contains a program called a NetNavi. A NetNavi is an internet navigator that is designed to be your assistant, and it actually has its own unique personality. Take that, Siri. NetNavis come in all shapes and sizes. Most of them have humanoid appearances, and many of them take inspiration from robot masters from previous games. As technology in the network expands, cybercrime had arisen. Viruses and hacking have become serious issues in this world, mostly derived from the evil organization called World 3, created by Dr. Wily himself. He aims to take over the net. Because of the rise of viruses, people had began using battle chips to help defend themselves. These battle chips are encoded with battle programs that are inserted into the PET, so the operator can arm their navis to fight off viruses from potential hackers. They call this method virus busting, and this became so important that even schools started teaching students how to perform this. The operator would have to jack in their PETs so that the NetNavi can access the net in order to fight off threats. That's so cool. It's much more fun than using antivirus software. In your face, Norton and McAfee. As we start the game, we are first introduced to the main character, Lan Hikari. He's an 11-year-old outgoing yet lazy boy who has a strong sense of justice. He was given a PET by his father, Dr. Hikari, and his own netnavi called Mega Man EXE. As he hits the school, we get introduced to his neighbor Meo Sakurai, known as Meiru in Japan or Meilu in the English dub of the anime. She's just your typical childhood friend who has a crush on Lan, who is oblivious about her feelings. She's more hot-headed in the anime. Personally, she's not one of my favorite characters in the series. She can get kind of annoying. She informs Lan about the oven accidents that have been occurring recently due to a virus from World 3. Lan shrugs it off and heads his way to school where we learn the basic tutorial on how the battle mechanics work. When you're in a battle, you appear in this grid to fight off these viruses. First, you would have to choose the chips you would like to use in battle. You can only carry 30 battle chips in your folder, but you can customize it however you like. If you manage to have the same chip or code, then you're able to send extra battle chips to your Navi to help make the battle so much quicker and easier. So, for example, if you have 2 cannons, then you can use both of them at once. Or if you have 2 chips with the same code, like the letter S, then you can use both as well. You can move your Navi around to dodge projectiles and use your buster to attack enemies as well. There is a custom gauge at the top. Once it fills up, then you'll have the chance to send in more battle chips to your Navi. If you're not satisfied with the hand you've drawn, then you can click this add button here to gain 5 more chips next round, but you'll have to rely on your buster until then. You can also use a technique called the Program Advance. This happens when you use certain battle chips in succession to create an incredibly powerful attack. There are a couple different ways to help achieve this. You can line them up with codes in alphabetical order. For example, if you have a cannon battle chip and use them in order such as A, B, and C, then you can use Zeta Cannon 1. You'll basically use cannon repeatedly for a limited time while being invulnerable. You can also obtain a program advance by using certain battle chips with the same code. For example, you can use Life Sword if you use a sword, white sword, and a longsword battle chip with the same code. It may sound complicated at first, but the more you play, the easier it gets. I really enjoy the battle system here. There is a huge variety of battle chips you can obtain that can make the experience fun and engaging. If there's one complaint that I have, it's the idea that you can't really run away from battles unless you manage to have an escape chip. You find viruses through random encounters, so it can be kind of annoying encountering them frequently. Especially if you just want to get through the area, or if you can't find a specific virus you're looking for. It's kind of like finding a wild Pokemon, but with no repels, and you're only able to run away every now and then if you're lucky. Anyway, as we return home from school, we see that a man from Net Safety is checking our home's control panel for any potential virus that may be causing these oven incidents. Totally not suspicious at all. We then decide to explore the net. Now this area is huge. We can access here through our computer or any other terminals that we may stumble across. It's so easy to get lost in here. I just wish there was a map or something. And what is with this background? Is that an E or a 6 and a 9? Are they trying to tell us something? I guess the internet really is filled with porn. Towards the start, we encounter Glide. He's Yai's netnavi. Yai is a fellow classmate who, despite being incredibly young, is really intelligent and is really freaking rich. Also, I'm pretty sure that her forehead is classified as a deadly weapon. I mean, just look at that thing. You can blind anyone with that. Apparently, one of her programs has gotten lost, so we are tasked to find it. We are given Yai's @ If we use this in the proper location at the net, we can enter Yai's network. As we explore further in the net, we can find tons of random viruses and these objects called mystery data. They can be found in various colors and usually contain items such as Zenny or battle chips. Green mystery data can reappear every time Mega Man jacks out of the net. Blue mystery data, on the other hand, is usually found at least once in all areas of the net. The contents are usually preset, so it's not always randomized. We can also find these merchants in the cyber world, where he can sell really important items such as HP memories, power-ups, or armor. These items are needed to help Mega Man level up. He doesn't level up through traditional experience points like most RPGs. You would have to search for these specific items, which could be found through merchants or areas of the net. You might ask, what's the point of random battles then? Well, unlike certain other games where battles may be meaningless, there is actually a benefit to battling viruses. You can get new battle chips this way, or obtain currency known as Zenny. The goal is to quickly defeat viruses while avoiding taking too much damage to obtain a better rank for better rewards. So you're being rewarded for doing so well in battle. These items can get really expensive, so battling enemies is worth your time. The HP memories can increase your max health. Power-ups let you level up your buster, rapid fire, and power. And the various elemental armor can increase your defense or resistance of certain elements, but you take more damage from its weakness. For example, the wood armor resists electricity, but takes more damage from fire attacks. After you find the lost program, we find that their oven catches on fire while Lan's mom was trying to make hotcakes. Oh, they're hot alright. Are there seriously no firemen in this world? Why do I have to clean up everything? And how in the world does an oven catch fire through a virus? Look, if I plug this here, then you can see that, oh ye gods, my roast is ruined! So that repairman from earlier was responsible for this incident. I never would have guessed. He's a member from World 3 named Mr. Match, and we must put a stop to his Navi Fireman EXE. As we jack into this oven, we must navigate through this area to put a stop to Fireman. You'll receive a bunch of ice blocks which you can use to put out these fires to help you proceed. You only have a limited number of them, so you better choose the flames you want to extinguish wisely. As we reach towards the end of the area, we then have the chance to battle against the first boss of this game, Fireman. Honestly, not too hard of a boss fight. Once you learn his pattern, dodge his fire attacks, and land your hits, he's a cinch. After the battle, Mr. Match retreats, stating that he found the program he needed for World 3's plan, hinting that a war will start soon. After all this is done, you can have the chance to battle against one of Lan's friends named Dex Oyama. Look, he even has a GameCube in his room. He has good taste. Now Dex can be an arrogant guy. He honestly feels more like a rival with Lan, but they still get along. Though he gets jealous of Lan whenever Mail starts to be more affectionate towards him, but he's still a reliable ally. His net Navi is Gutsman. He's not too difficult, though I say that when I'm so close to dying towards him. You can eventually get his battle chip after you rematch him and get a good rank. You can find several NPCs with powerful net navis to add to your arsenal throughout your adventure. You have a chance to get some really powerful battle chips if you've beaten them. You can even get some from bosses that you previously beaten, like Fireman. You can find them again in certain areas of the net. A few days later, after the oven explosions, we encounter this suspicious man hanging out by the elementary school. Totally not creepy at all. He appears the next day during class. His name is Mr. Higsby, and he has quite the obsession of collecting battle chips. Suddenly their teacher, Miss Mari, had disappeared. Higsby mentions that she was sick and went to the nurse's office. As he leaves the classroom, we find out that he was secretly working for World 3 and trapped these kids in the school in an attempt to brainwash these students to work for World 3. Dex attempts to help, but he fails miserably. So of course, it's up to Lan to do all the work. Mail will give you Roll's battle chip. I really like this chip. You can easily deal a decent amount of damage and absorb some of the enemy's health. As we jack into this blackboard, we enter this area so we may defeat the Navi responsible for this disaster. And may I just say, I really love the song that plays here, it's so good. You'll encounter some barriers that will be passcode protected. You would either have to find the right answer in the real world, or make a guess if there are no hints. Luckily, the game will tell you if the number is too low or too high, so it shouldn't be too hard to get through this area. As you reach the end, you will encounter Higsby's Navi called Numberman. He reveals that his new salary that he got from World 3 motivated him to do this since he was able to buy a lot of rare chips this way. That's messed up. Why do villains get paid more than teachers? This boss fight is pretty easy. You just mostly need to watch out for these orbs. You can focus on destroying the ones with the lowest number on them, so you'll have the chance to damage Numberman. After he's defeated, Higsby learns the error of his ways and fixes the mess that he created. Now we move on to AC/DC Town, so we can go to the metro station to go see his dad. This really is a highway of hell. Anyway, we find that the station is blocked due to a landslide that was caused by a virus. Guess who's gonna have to fix it? Why are all these adults so incompetent? They're always leaving the kids to do all the work. We have to make our way back to the net so we can destroy this Navi named Stoneman, who is blocking the Metroline security program. Not a tough fight, kind of a pushover. Once he's defeated, then we can finally make our way to the government complex to see Lan's father. Once we arrive, we can find this character who sells lunches named Sal. You have the option to battle her in her Navi Woodman. And oh my goodness, this fight can get difficult if you're not careful. I recommend using fire moves against him. As we head inside, we find that his father isn't there, so we have to jack inside his PC to receive the power-up program he wanted to give us. Unfortunately, it's not there, so we just left him a message. He later sends you an email shortly after and gives you the HP memory and power-up. 1 month later, we find that the water is off everywhere throughout the city. No water fountains, no access to bathrooms, and people are getting really thirsty. And not the horny kind. You mean to tell me that a world so advanced doesn't have any backup plans, or even any water bottles in case of emergency? This is why we shouldn't rely on technology so much. Before we try to solve this impending crisis, let's buy some chips. Higsby has opened his store where he can sell various battle chips. You can rematch Numberman here and trade chips into these machines. There are 2 of them. The red one allows you to exchange 3 chips to gain a random chip, while the blue one lets you trade 10 chips for a chance to get some rarer battle chips. Yay, gambling! Oh, and is that Vial from Mega Man X? Anyway, we investigate by heading towards the waterworks at the government complex. We find this guy named Eugene Chad. He's an official and extremely skilled net battler, and is the operator of Protoman EXE, one of the most powerful Navis of all. He's a pretty serious and determined character who doesn't really open up much in this game. As an official net battler, he can net battle wherever he wants, so he can fight cybercrime. After we take Lan's father's ID card, we make our way to the waterworks to help solve this water issue. Unfortunately, we have to wait until everyone leaves for some reason. All of the employees left the building at noon, even though there's a water crisis going on right now. I honestly don't see the logic in that. People can die from this, and they just leave like it's nothing? I know it's a Saturday, but people are passing out and feeling dehydrated here, and they're not doing anything about it. Are there any responsible adults in this world at all? Or are we just gonna let the 11-year-old do everything? Whatever. We soon find out that we're not alone here. We find this mysterious woman telling us to go home. We can trust her, right? Obviously not. As we jack into the net, we explore this area filled with water and sliding puzzles. We also find this friendly neighborhood Navi chilling here. Okay, nothing to see here. Towards the end of the section, we find this random polar bear viruses. They must be behind this incident. Once they're defeated, the water comes back, although it's really dirty. No, don't drink it! He's dead. Rip. Guess we'll have to fix this. We're gonna have to find Dr. Freud's son first, who was kidnapped by World 3 and blackmailing his father to ruin the water program. After returning back to the area where that colorful Navi we saw earlier was blocking, we have to deal with some more annoying sliding puzzles. Thank goodness for save states. As we finally reach the end of the area, we find Protoman and Dr. Freud's Navi, Iceman. Due to a misunderstanding, we are forced to fight Iceman. A pretty easy fight, all things considered. It's just a matter of dodging all his ice projectiles. We then delivered the message of Freud's son's safety, and thus the water is finally restored. Chad and Protoman found the true perpetrator named Colorman, operated by that same strange woman we saw earlier named Miss Mad. Unfortunately, they escaped before we can stop them. After some time has passed, we later meet Mail in front of the metro line so we can explore downtown to look for a present for Yai. Downtown can be pretty difficult to maneuver around, and you could easily get lost in here. It's divided into several blocks. There are several stoplights everywhere, and you can use these stations to move around. Somewhere deep in this town, we can find this character named Miu, where you can battle her Navi Skullman. He can be pretty tricky, but he's not too difficult. Once we arrive here, we notice that these stoplights are acting a bit crazy. Due to this malfunction, these cars just comically crashes into each other. Don't worry, I'm sure all these people are fine. World 3 uses this opportunity to offer residents a program to help solve the problem. All for a measly 1 million zenny. What a deal! Obviously, Lan is not having any of that and decided once again to solve everyone's problems. Once we jack into this traffic light, we get to travel through these colorful paths. Our objective is to make sure the signal turns red. Oh no, it seems that World 3 has taken Mail hostage in this runaway bus. If we don't stop this, then she's gonna crash. Fine, we'll go save her. After several failed attempts at stopping the bus, we find that Roll failed to stop Colorman, so we're gonna have to fight him instead. This fight is sort of annoying. These weird red and blue things tend to get in the way of damaging Colored Man, so be sure to plan your strategy accordingly. After he's been defeated, we successfully saved Mail. Oh boy, you can feel the excitement in my voice. Several days later after the traffic incident, we are invited to go attend a party at the government complex with Lan's father. When you arrive there, you can find Mesa, a fish salesman, hanging outside. This is another optional fight that you can have against his Navi, Sharkman, and oh my goodness, this is also so difficult. He's so fast, his attacks do so much damage, and you have to find the right one out of the three. This ain't no cakewalk, that's for sure. I should have had more calcium. Once we arrived at the party with his parents, Count Zap, a World 3 member, has initiated a power outage. The air vents had stopped, so our lives are at stake here due to the lack of air. Are there seriously no windows around here? Or even any precautions in case of emergencies like this? Seems like a huge oversight. People in this world rely on technology way too much. They could easily die if they're not careful. Anyway, we have to investigate the power plant to see if we can try to fix this. This upcoming section is probably the most tedious in the entire game. Due to the power being out, we have limited charge in our PET. We risk Mega Man's deletion during this area. If our power runs out, then we cannot heal our Navi after every battle, unless you have battle chips that heal you. If that's not bad enough, this area is so dark you can't even tell where you're going. You have to get batteries from these programs in order to open the way through. We have to place these in the right spots in order to open up the correct pathway. They will never be adjacent to one another. However, those batteries have a limited charge, so be sure to choose correctly, or else you have to backtrack to recharge those batteries and try again. Once again, thank goodness for save states. You'll also find some of these zombified Mr. Progs here that can attack you. All your base are belong to us? Well, all your battle chip are belong to me. As we finally reach the end of this annoying area with barely any power left, we have to fight with Zap's Navi, Elecman. though unfortunately he regenerates his health by absorbing all of the electricity, so we'll have to stop the generator to stand a chance. After we defeated him, he claims that World 3 has all of the programs that they needed so they can begin their final phases of their plan. Outraged by getting in the way of their business, Chad challenges us to battle against Protoman. Not too bad if you follow his pattern as long as you maintain your distance. You could only attack him after he attacks you though. After we defeated him, we then restored the power and head our way home. Meanwhile, Wily gloats that he finally has all of the super programs that he was searching for. Look at him all memeing and stuff before it was cool. Now it's almost time for him to generate the life virus to delete the world as revenge against Dr. Hikari. Endgame is upon us. We need to find out where World 3 is located, so we must explore deep into the internet to find our answer. However, in order to venture deep into the web, we need to find the information from former World 3 members. With the help of Higsby, we were able to locate this scientist, old man, and young lady that looks like Miss Mari. As we reach our destination in the internet, we encounter this Navi named Bombman, guarding the entrance to World 3's address. Pretty easy fight all things considered, but unfortunately he closed off the gate after he was defeated. We go ask his father for help to find their server address. Once we've obtained the information, Wily's plans started to go into fruition, and we must locate the hidden metro line that leads to our destination. Apparently it's underneath his school, and we must make our way to the mountains where World 3's base is located. The final area is basically a retread of the previous areas that we visited prior. Think of it as somewhat of a pseudo-boss rush like the original Mega Man games, except instead of fighting bosses, you have to solve puzzles instead. It's pretty heartwarming to see all of your friends help you pass these obstacles so you can progress further into the area. Once you reach the end of the electrical areas section, be sure to save because this is one of those instances where you're about to do the finale. So if there's anything that you need to do before fighting the final boss, be sure to do so now. After you destroy the final lock, we encounter Wily's right-hand man Yahoo and his Navi Magic Man. To be honest, this is probably the true final boss of this game, even though there's another fight afterwards. This fight can be a pain. I mean, look at this. It can be really hard to avoid all of these attacks, but if you try hard enough, you can get through it. However, Magic Man fatally attacked Mega Man by surprise as a last-ditch effort before he got deleted by Protoman. When you think all hope is lost, Chad had given Lan a program called Hub.Bat. His father calls him and informs Lan of Mega Man's true identity. About a decade ago, he was working on a new kind of Navi. He wanted to create a Navi that could truly befriend its operator. However, he couldn't really make one to think and act on its own, at least not until the operator has had some connection with the Navi. It is revealed that he once had another son named Hub. He was Lan's twin brother, but unfortunately he passed away due to heart troubles as a baby. So, in order to keep his memory alive, he incorporated Hub's DNA into Mega Man, creating the ultimate net Navi. There's one drawback though. Damage taken from Mega Man would damage Lan as well. Mega Man knew about this all along, but refrained from telling Lan, because he would probably be too scared to use him. So Lan makes the decision to use Hub.Bat in order to resurrect his brother Hub, and awaken his true power. I'm not gonna lie, I kinda got emotional after watching this scene. I can't imagine the guilt that Lan had for unknowingly sending him to these dangerous situations, or the guilt that Mega Man had from hiding the truth from him. This exchange had deepened their bond immensely. With this newfound power and synergy, together they will eradicate the life virus and put a stop to Wily once and for all. When Lan finally confronts Wily, he reveals the motive of his actions. 30 years ago, Wily held a grudge towards Lan's grandfather's advancements in technology. Wily specialized in robotics while Dr. Hikari focused on networking. Wily lost an international competition against him, and as a result, the government decided to cut Wily's funding and pursue Dr. Hikari's innovation for net navis instead. His jealousy is what drove him for the destruction of their world. Now it's time to fight the final boss, the life virus. You mostly have to worry about his barrier. You need to use an attack that does at least 100 damage. Once you destroy it, he'll be vulnerable to attacks. Once he's defeated, the whole laboratory self-destructs. Not sure why you're saying yippee at a time like this, Mail. We escape to safety while Wily falls to the destruction of his own creation, presumably gone after the explosion. We return back to AC/DC Town, celebrating our victory. And that's the main story. However, there's still more stuff to do if you want to fully complete this game. After you've beaten the game, you'll be able to visit areas of the net that you weren't able to before. You'll find harder viruses and optional boss fights here. There are more stricter battle conditions here. If your busting level is too low, then you'll have to start the area all over again. The secret boss fights you can find here is Fireman in Internet Area 12. He'll only appear if you're at least level 70. You can also find Shadow Man near the end of Internet Area 15. although he'll only show up if you've collected at least 140 different battle chips in your library. And finally, for the hardest boss in this game, Base EXE. He apparently copied the life aura data from the life virus, and you can only find him through random encounter in Internet Area 16. But you need to own 174 out of the 175 chips in this game. Honestly, I don't have the patience or the time to do what's necessary to encounter these boss fights. I always have the worst luck trying to get all the battle chips or the Zenny I needed to fulfill all these requirements. I love the game and all, but spending so much time grinding in order to achieve this is not fun to me. Overall, this is an incredible game that still holds up today in my opinion. Sure, there are a few shortcomings. Personally, I find the random encounters kind of annoying, and I'm not really much of a fan of some of the puzzles here, but other than that, I find the battle mechanics solid, and I really enjoy some of the character moments, and the music, and the setting. It's definitely worth your time, though the sequels definitely improve and expands on this formula. Here's hoping that Capcom makes a collection sometime in the near future.